Aloha and good afternoon. Welcome to This Is Now. In a historic verdict, a Michigan jury has found Jennifer Crumbley guilty on all 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter for her son's mass shooting at his high school in 2021.
Yeah, the counts were for each student who was killed. Christian Benavides has more.
We find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
It took jurors 2 days of deliberating to reach their guilty verdict. After it was read, Jennifer Crumbley was handcuffed and led out of the courtroom. During the trial, Crumbley took the stand in her own defense.
You could change what happened, would you?
Oh, absolutely. I wish he would have killed us instead.
The case examined if she should be held responsible for her son's 2021 shooting that killed 4 students at Oxford High School in Michigan. She testified that her son did suffer from some anxiety.
Not to a level where I felt he needed to go see a psychiatrist or a mental health professional right away, no.
She also said her husband, James, bought the gun used in the shooting 4 days beforehand and was responsible for storing the weapon.
I just didn't feel comfortable being in charge of that. It was more his thing.
Prosecutors argued Jennifer Crumbley could have prevented the shooting after she and her husband were called to a meeting at the school about their son's behavior and then left him there that day.
She could have searched the backpack. She could have asked her son where the gun was. She could have locked the ammunition. She could have locked the gun. She could have taken him home.
Crumbley is scheduled to be sentenced in April. Christian Benavides, CBS News.
On Molokai, new images show the destruction from a house fire earlier this morning. Crews were called to the scene on Pu'upe'elua Avenue in Ho'olehua around 3:30. The building was completely in flames when they got there, and they worked to keep the fire from spreading. They were able to get it under control but remained on scene for several hours that followed. A 77-year-old woman is now displaced. And new details on more problems at Wahiawa General Hospital. We're told a broken air conditioning system there forced a recent shutdown of inpatient services, and that lasted several days according to our sources. Now the emergency room was able to remain operational and inpatient services have since resumed. We've reached out to the hospital officials to see how many patients were affected during the temporary shutdown. We'll post the latest details when we get them on our website.
Maui police say they were overwhelmed and understaffed during the August 8th wildfires. That's a key takeaway from their own preliminary after-action report released Monday afternoon. The 98-page review identifies 32 ways to improve MPD's response in future emergencies. Recommendations include hiring a social media manager to speed up communication, ensuring all commanders participate in live training exercises, directing the public to call a dedicated phone line other than 911, and equipping every supervisory police vehicle with a breaching kit to remove debris and keep it from blocking roads.
This community deserves the very best, and this agency is the very finest. We put service above self. We put honor above all. Make no mistake, these were our worst hours. These were our finest moments.
MPD also highlighted the expansion of their morgue and the task force they created to identify all 100 victims. 3 people are still unaccounted for: Paul Kaspreski, Robert H. Owens, and Elmer Lee Stevens. A link to the preliminary report is on our website. HPD's final report will be released within 6 to 12 months.
On Hawaii Island, county police have charged Florlyn Ito with 6 offenses after she allegedly tried to bite an officer who picked her up for outstanding warrants in Mountain View on Friday. Police say the 36-year-old was trying to drive away when the officer reached in the vehicle's window and she tried to bite his arm. Ito's bail is set at $215,000. On Kauai, 3 weeks after a body was found in a burning vehicle at Anahola Beach Park, police have reclassified the case as a homicide investigation. The victim's identity has not been publicly released. In the meantime, KPD is asking the public to come forward with any information to help investigators.
Ala Moana chemical attack suspect Sebastian McQuan refused to leave OCCC for his court arraignment yesterday. The 29-year-old is charged with attempted murder and assault for allegedly tossing a chemical liquid on 25-year-old Danyang Zhang, leaving her in critical condition. McQuan's hearing is now rescheduled for Thursday. Attorneys are arguing over what evidence should be allowed at the public corruption trial of former Honolulu prosecutor Keith Kaneshiro. The defense does not want the jury to hear about tax returns, campaign contributions, or Catherine Kealoha, who's now in prison for corruption. Back when she was a deputy prosecutor, Kealoha pursued charges against the employee of an engineering firm whose leaders are now accused of bribing Kaneshiro to prosecute the case as an act of revenge. The judge must decide if Kealoha's name can be brought up at the trial.
It's just a question of whether the information is relevant or prejudicial to the trial and whether it should come in or not.
The trial is set to begin February 27th before federal judge Michael Seabright.
Turning now to politics, an appeals court in the nation's capital has ruled that former President Donald Trump can stand trial in connection with charges that he plotted to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Now, the panel struck down Trump's broad claims of immunity. CBS's Skylar Henry has more on what's next.
The D.C. Court of Appeals rejected former President Trump's claims he's immune from prosecution for his actions while in the White House and leading up to the Capitol riots on January 6, 2021. The three-judge panel issued a unanimous 57-page ruling.
They basically said that former President Trump, for present purposes, is citizen Donald Trump, and he enjoys no greater protection against criminal prosecution than any other citizen of the United States.
Trump sat in the front row when his lawyers made their arguments in January and has continued to plead his case on the campaign trail.
This isn't just me. This is all presidents. They have to be given immunity. Otherwise, they're going to be unable to act.
His camp responded to the ruling, saying President Trump respectfully disagrees with the D.C. Circuit's decision and will appeal it in order to safeguard the presidency and the Constitution.
The wait for this ruling pushed back the federal election interference trial against the former president. It had been scheduled to get underway in less than a month.
The former president's options for appeal include the U.S. Supreme Court.
I think it's probably likely the Supreme Court will act very quickly to not take this case.
All of this making it harder for the current GOP presidential frontrunner to avoid trial as voters weigh their options for the November ballots. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Country singer Toby Keith has died at the age of 62 after a battle with stomach cancer. He was diagnosed in 2022, but still performed at the People's Choice Country Awards last year, where he received the Country Icon Award. Keith released his debut album in 1993. He's known for hits like Red Solo Cup and I Want to Talk About Me. He leaves behind a wife and 3 children. Hawaii's only hospital that offers secure treatment for people with mental illness is overcrowded and full of people who do not require hospitalization. Many of the patients are people who are charged with crimes and are waiting for evaluation. Daryl Huff has more.
The state corrections director said today he has nearly 700 inmates with severe mental illness jammed into overcrowded jails and prisons, and it's getting worse.
We're having more and more people coming into our jail system who have serious mental health issues.
The prisons transferred a record number to the state hospital, which recently opened a new facility, and it's already not enough.
We could build 3 more, and 3 more would be filled up. So that's not the solution, to keep building more hospital beds.
Mental health officials told House and Senate committees today that the state-of-the-art hospital has far too many people in it that don't need a hospital level of care. The vast majority of patients, about 77%, were sent by the courts for evaluation or are not fit for trial or are awaiting transition to community services. Only about 23% actually medically need to be in the hospital.
My hair is on fire right now. Can you help me understand what we are doing about that? Somebody help me understand how we have a hospital full of people who clinically should not be there.
People go from incarceration to state hospital. It's often because the court orders them to be evaluated for fitness and other reasons, and more so than this person is too psychiatrically violent or ill to remain at incarceration.
For the longest time, Hawaii State Hospital has been that one-size-fits-all, but it doesn't work any longer. And you're speaking, It is super expensive.
Like way over $1,000 a day expensive. Lawmakers have been proposing a secure intermediate care facility for those who can't be free or are being evaluated.
For those, we have asked for additional evaluators so that we can move that process along. Part of that is a shortage of staff.
I disagree with that. That is a sufficient plan to help.
The governor has also emphasized opening alternative care sites, but the state is still far short of the mental health and substance abuse treatment that's needed.
We do thank you, folks, but you could hear our frustrations.
Lawmakers told the health department to get them a plan they can put money into this session. Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
In international news, a day after we learned that King Charles was diagnosed with cancer, the public got a chance to see him moving about. This as son Prince Harry crossed the pond to visit the 75-year-old monarch. Ian Lee reports from Buckingham Palace.
A car carrying King Charles and Queen Camilla left Clarence House Tuesday. It was the first time the monarch has been seen in public since his cancer diagnosis. Earlier, a car carrying Prince Harry arrived at the royal residence, the Duke of Sussex making the trip from California to visit his ailing father.
This is the first real time he's spent any meaningful face-to-face time with his father in 18 months.
The health revelation came just a week after King Charles left the hospital following treatment for a benign enlarged prostate. It was then that doctors discovered what Buckingham Palace describes as a separate issue of concern. The palace said in a statement, the 75-year-old monarch's doctors have advised him to postpone public events, but that he will continue with his official duties.
This will be something he's not used to. I think he will be stoic about it. I think he will do what the doctors are asking him to do.
Many here in London are hoping the King's cancer battle leads to a reconciliation between the Duke of Sussex and the royal family.
This whole family feud thing seems a bit silly in my opinion, which will make up, and hopefully this brings them together a little bit more.
He's got to come back to see his father, hasn't he? I mean, it's the right thing to do.
Prince Harry is no longer a working royal, so he's not expected to take up royal duties. The public face of the monarchy falls to the heir to the throne, Prince William, returning to full-time duty himself after caring for his wife, the Princess of Wales, after she underwent abdominal surgery last month. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
And well wishes are pouring in from around the world. Check out this sand sculpture by artist Sudarsan Patanaik on the eastern Puri beach in India. It's a 7-foot-high, intricate work of art. The king's diagnosis comes less than 18 months into his reign.
All right, let's take a live look outside. Guess where this is, Dylan?
Sin City, baby.
Sure is. It's the Sphere. You can see the Super Bowl display there on the magnificent structure. We're going to have a check on your local forecast with Guy Hagi after a quick break.
windy today, but not advisory levels. The winds are going to be brisk and breezy today. Still a little windy tomorrow, but not quite as strong as today. And then the winds start to back off as we head towards the weekend. You can see those streamlines start to change. In fact, very light winds are expected Sunday into Monday. And the weather's going to change when the winds slow down. But for today and for tomorrow, and even through Thursday, we'll see the typical trade wind weather conditions. A few overnight and early morning showers for windward neighborhoods. Leeward sides will be mostly dry, and humidity levels will be comfortable with these breezy winds, and still going to be a little on the cool side. Things are going to feel warmer when the winds slow down because humidity levels will climb. And there's also a chance when the winds lighten up, we might get a few spotty showers late in the day into the early evening, but they will not be widespread.
Coming up on the next Spotlight Now, we catch up with a familiar guest. Governor Josh Green updates us on the legislative session.
How are his priorities progressing through the ledge? What kind of deals are in the works? Join us live on K5 for Spotlight Now.
Tracing your ancestry is not always easy. Stephanie Lum went in search of her great-grandfather's village, unsure of what she would find.
There is a well-known Chinese saying, Lo ye gui gan, falling leaves return to roots. Always remember where you came from. So it is highly celebrated when lost loved ones are together again.
It's good to have family, and nice to meet you.
So this is a long lost cousin of mine. I come all the way to China and find him.
These emotional reunions are real blessings because it's becoming more and more difficult to trace a person's Chinese roots. Rapid development took over many villages. Only a few remain. Records of families' histories were destroyed during the Cultural Revolution in China from 1966 to 1976. Nearly 100 years earlier, in 1882, families were torn apart when the U.S. banned all immigration of Chinese to America. Many Hawaii Chinese families suffered this great discrimination, including mine, and were forced to live apart for decades, as I learned from my late father.
One of the big difficulties is that my mother and my father were separated for about 17, 18 years because my mother was deemed an alien and had to return back to her native country, which was China. So my older brother Michael stayed here with my father, and my mother had to make her own living in China for 17, 18 years. My grandfather came by boat and landed on Kauai, and my father was born on Kauai. My grandfather was a rice planter on Kauai.
With clues from my relatives' gravestones, the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii helped me find my ancestors in southern China.
A mixture of emotions are running through me. Right now I'm feeling nervous because I don't know what to expect. And I'm also feeling a little excited because we're finally going to be able to see where it all began, where the Lum family, our ancestors, once lived.
Word of our arrival spread fast in the village of Gung Fa.
Hi. Hello.
Isn't she getting cold enough?
They say my relatives are waiting for me. As we walked along narrow, unpaved streets, we dodged traffic and passed by old, deteriorating homes to the town hall where the government arranged a formal meet and greet.
So he's saying that Foika was so grateful that she traveled far away, come back, visit your root. You guys so Grateful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Many of my distant relatives warmly welcomed me and my mother. This man, Lum Chu Bo, is said to be the closest relative of my great-grandfather. And this is his wife, Mai Yan Sha. They told me to follow them to one of the last buildings that belonged to my family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's the one.
That's the one right there?
Yeah.
This ancient watchtower, standing tall in the middle of town. They say my ancestors were once the protectors and guardians of the village. Looking at an old picture of our relatives in China, I can see the similarities.
Let's stay connected. Let's stay connected. You can call me, email, rewrite.
Do you have WeChat?
I don't have WeChat, but I can install WeChat if they want to stay connected. Wow, look at that. My relatives are very tech savvy. Doje, take care, take care, take care. Oh, take care. Bye. Bye-bye. Our stay was so short, but in that short amount of time, I learned so much. Truly unforgettable moments. They were so welcoming. And I didn't know that this much Lum history existed in this village. I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
In today's story from the feeds, you may have already heard about Connie the container dog. She was rescued from a shipping container at the port of Houston. And now we're learning more about the dog's story. Bill Barajas has the details.
She's so gentle.
She is so gentle. Can you say hi?
Connie the container dog is one lucky pooch. Her foster, Jennifer Windenberg, says she's as sweet as can be.
She's been great.
You have children, right?
I have 4 kids. And then, come on, I have 2 dogs, a Great Dane and a Pit Bull mix, and she's been great with them, and a cat. So whoever is going to adopt her is going to...
jackpot. Connie's story is about hope and resilience, but it comes with its share of tragedy and trauma.
While we're so happy that she's here, there has been some trauma in her life, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It turned out that she had puppies
in
the container with her.
Yeah. She had 5 little babies with her. And unfortunately, they didn't make it.
Sweet Connie was found by chance, rescued thanks to these heroes from the U.S. Coast Guard.
It started like any other morning. We all loaded up, got all our gear together, and we went out to do random container inspections. Ryan was actually starting to bang on the containers, and then we would just hear a periodic, a little boof.
Oh, it's scratching, dude! Petty Officer 3rd Class Brian Wainscott and Marine Science Technician 2nd Class Ryan McMahon say it was truly a miracle that they found her.
Hi, puppy! Talk to us about how many containers there might be. Is this like a needle in a haystack when we're talking about?
Absolutely, no, absolutely. Because, there's tens of thousands of a container moving on that yard at any point in time. And for us to find a dog that's due to be exported out,
if you guys don't find her, there's no telling where she ends up,
If we didn't find her that day, she wouldn't have been found at all. That's what I think.
The team's still trying to figure out how she got into the container, along with several totaled vehicles, likely from a salvage yard here in the Houston area. But thanks to them, Connie's girl journey is far from over.
What's the rescue call that she's going to?
Forever Changed Animal Rescue out of Maryland.
What a cutie pie.
Yeah, we have time for one more story, and it's true knee slapper, or shall we say a slap in the face. Jeannie Moose explains.
Bugs often use us as landing strips and even go down the hatch. But when the co-hosts at the Today Show Australia started playing amplified buzzing noises, they were setting the stage for this. Reporter Andrea Crothers didn't just swat mosquitoes, she slapped herself.
The mosquitoes were the biggest monsters I've ever seen in my life. I'd already whacked about 5 on my forehead before we went live that I had to wipe the blood off it because the studio said we can see it.
The gang in the studio...
But I'd like to see that whole thing slowed down, reversed, backed up again.
We couldn't get enough of Andrea slapping herself. Who ended up hurting more, you or the mosquito?
Well, he died, I didn't, so I think probably him.
Reporters have faced much bigger distractions.
And provide a home.
But having your nose groped by an elephant is less jarring than slapping yourself silly. On her next outing, Andrea came prepared.
Don't worry, guys. HR told me I can wear it on air as long as I don't get workers' compensation for punching myself in the face.
Andrea managed to both create buzz and be a buzzkill. Ginny Mose, CNN, New York.
Oh my goodness, all these on-air bloopers, gotta love it.
good.
Reminds me of Joe Beth and the cow. If you remember that clip, if you don't know, YouTube it right now. Have a great day, everyone.